The ship was still moving beneath them, subtle enough to feel like the slow drag of gravity, but sharp enough to know it was deliberate. The black ship had been silent for hours after the last incident, its corridors still and cold, yet something had changed. The walls had a faint hum now, a deep vibration that made every word feel heavier. Theo Mallory ran a hand over one of the panels as they regrouped, smirking as if touching alien architecture for the 10th time today was just another Tuesday at work. "Feels like we just got a free ride upgrade," he muttered, half to himself, half to Ava. She gave him a sideways glare, sharp enough to cut through steel, but said nothing. Commander Rourke stood in the center of the narrow chamber, helmet tucked under one arm, eyes fixed on the schematic floating above his wrist console. His voice was steady, but lower than usual, carrying the tone of someone thinking 3 steps ahead. "This layout doesn't match what we recorded before," he said, scrolling through the earlier scans. "The ship's changed itself." Niles adjusted his scanner and exhaled sharply, frustration plain on his face. "Yeah, and it's not even trying to hide it anymore. It wants us somewhere specific." Theo grinned without looking up. "Oh, good. Because nothing says, 'Trustworthy host,' like a shape-shifting murder yacht." That earned him a tired look from Rourke, who let it pass because, if he was honest, it helped break the suffocating air pressing down on the Maeva crouched near. The deck, running a handheld probe along the shifting seams in the floor. "This isn't random," she said. "The Codex is involved. I'm getting energy spikes every time a corridor locks behind us." Theo stepped closer and leaned on the bulkhead like he was standing outside a coffee shop instead of an alien vessel. "So, big scary space artifact is setting house rules. Someone want to tell me what happens if we break them?" Ava shot him an incredulous look. Probably the same thing that happens when you ignore safety warnings and stick a fork in a reactor outlet. Theo tilted his head. "So, a light shock and a good story?" "Perfect." Niles groaned and muttered something under his breath about junior officers and gallows humor, but the corner of his mouth betrayed a quick grin before it vanished. Again they reached the next junction, only to find the passage ahead glowing faint blue, a series of geometric patterns crawling along the walls like living veins. Theo slowed, his expression shifting from casual humor to a cautious squint. He held up his hand. "Okay, so, this is new." Rourke signaled everyone to stop and raised his rifle, though he kept it low. "Theo, you seeing anything?" Theo nodded slowly. "Yeah, I mean, not seeing, but..." He pointed to his temple. "It's like it's feeding me instructions. You know that feeling when you suddenly remember where you left your keys? It's like that, except it's an alien intelligence whispering in my head." Ava stood and folded her arms. "And you sound weirdly okay with that." Theo gave her a half-smile. "What can I say? I'm flattered it noticed me. My social life's been dead for months." The glowing patterns sharpened, arranging into what looked like language spirals of lines that folded in on themselves and opened again in seamless loops. Theo stepped forward, not waiting for permission, and traced one of the symbols with his glove. "It's a list," he said quietly. "Rules. It's giving us rules." Rourke tensed. "What kind of rules?" Theo tilted his head, listening to something they couldn't hear. "It says, one path, one voice, one life. That's it. 3 rules. Real minimalist design." Ava frowned. "That's not creepy at all." Theo's lips curled. "On the plus side, at least it's not asking us to sign a waiver." The joke landed flat, and Theo's grin faltered, the weight of the ship's hum creeping back into his chest. Then, without warning, the corridor behind them slammed shut with a heavy clang, the walls folding like liquid metal until only one direction remained open. The air pressure shifted, and the floor gave a subtle tilt toward the glowing corridor ahead. Rourke stepped in front of the group, weapon raised, eyes locked forward. "All right," he said, calm but grim. "Looks like we're done making choices. We follow the path." The corridor stretched farther than their earlier scans had suggested, a single unbroken passage that seemed to slope downward. Its walls pulsed faintly, like veins carrying light instead of blood. Every step they took was echoed by a sound that wasn't quite an echo, more like the ship listening, adjusting to their movement. Theo glanced at the glowing patterns lining the path and gave a soft whistle. This is either the best interior mood lighting I've ever seen or a subtle warning. We're too dumb to understand. Ava's voice cut through the silence, firm but with an edge. We don't even know where this leads. For all we know, it's funneling us straight to the ship's waste disposal unit. Niles snorted behind her. "Please don't give it ideas." Theo slowed enough to glance over his shoulder, smirk creeping onto his face. "Relax. I'm sure if it wanted to kill us, it wouldn't bother with dramatic corridors and glowing poetry. It would just, turn off the air. Easy, quick, efficient." Ava narrowed her eyes at him. "Comforting thought." "Thank you, Theo. Really." Rourke said nothing at first, pacing with his weapon angled low but ready, eyes scanning for anything that moved. Finally, he muttered, "Mallory, enough commentary. Just keep your head on straight." Theo shrugged, stepping ahead with a lopsided grin. "Heads attached, Commander. Pretty sure that's still in the rules, right?" His humor earned an exhale from Niles that might have been a laugh or just relief from tension. And even Ava cracked a quick smile before hiding it behind her hand scanner halfway down. The corridor widened into a circular chamber. The walls curved up like the inside of a dome, and in the center stood a row of humanoid shapes. They were still, lined shoulder to shoulder, each wearing different armor plates and suits that were eerily familiar. Theo stepped forward and froze. His voice came out low, confused. "That's us." Ava moved to his side and tilted her scanner up. "These are human, or at least modeled to look human." Niles approached one, eyes narrowing as he studied its faceplate. "This one looks like you, Ava." He turned, then stopped when his gaze fell on another figure. "And this one looks like me." "Perfect. We're collectibles now." Theo circled one of the constructs, frowning at its scratched helmet and dented chest plate. "Well, I was hoping for a statue someday, but not one that looks like I lost a fight with a forklift." He crouched, brushing a finger against a cracked gauntlet. "These look old, decades old. Maybe longer." Ava didn't answer immediately. Staring at her own likeness, frozen in metal silence, Rourke moved up, eyes locked on the front of the chamber. "This doesn't make sense. Why would the ship have these? And why do they look like us?" Theo tilted, his head half grinning despite the chill crawling up his spine. "Maybe it's running a fan club. Or," he paused, straightening, "or it's predicting us again. The Codex doesn't just see forward, it might be replaying things. Maybe this already happened. Maybe we've already been here before." Ava shot him a sharp look. "That's not funny, Theo." He raised his hands in surrender. "Hey, I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. You're all welcome for." The nightmare fuel. Then one of the constructs moved. It wasn't much, just a twitch in the head as the helmet tilted slightly to the side. Theo stepped back immediately, rifle halfway up, heart jumping into his throat. "Okay, no one panic, but mine just twitched. And, yeah, it's looking at me now." The others tensed, weapons raised, as a slow, mechanical voice echoed. In the chamber. It was deep, filtered through layers of distortion, but unmistakable. It was Theo's own voice. "Are you ready to finish what we started?" Theo's mouth opened, closed, and opened again as if his brain was struggling to catch. Did it just steal my voice?" Because that's creepy, even for an alien ship. Ava stepped closer, scanner trembling slightly in her hands. It's mimicking you. It's been listening, recording everything we've said since we came aboard, Niles muttered. So it knows our voices. And our faces. Great. Any chance it doesn't also know how to aim? The construct took another step forward, moving with a precision that was too smooth, too human. The others remained still, but there was a tension in the room, like every one of them might spring to life at any moment. Theo swallowed, pointing his rifle, but not firing. Okay, new rule, he said, his humor returning out of instinct more. Then confidence. If the next one of these things starts singing in my voice, I'm quitting. No one laughed this time. The construct's helmet tilted back slightly, as if it was studying him, and repeated the words. Slower this time. Are you ready to finish what we started? Theo's breath caught, but he forced a smirk. Depends. Do I get dental in this contract? Ava whispered without looking at him. Please stop talking to it. Rourke raised a hand, signaling silence. Nobody move until we know what it wants. But the construct wasn't waiting. It stepped. Closer, metal feet clicking against the deck, and for a moment, the entire room seemed to hold its breath. The construct halted just a few feet away, head tilting in an almost curious gesture, like a predator considering whether the thing in front of it was food or friend. Theo took a slow step back, rifle steady, though his shoulders were tight. Okay, personal space, buddy. You're crowding me, and I don't do well with people, robots, whatever breathing down my neck. The construct didn't respond. Not in any way that made sense, but its head rotated slightly, locking onto Theo. Its hands flexed like a human testing old joints, then one finger pointed directly at him. That motion froze him more than anything else, because it didn't feel random. It felt like recognition then, without warning. Something hit Theo not physically, but inside his head. A blinding flash of images ripped through his vision. Himself. Standing in this same chamber, only the constructs weren't lifeless. They were moving, surrounding him, and he was speaking in a language he shouldn't have known. He saw Ava, older, her hair grayer, standing beside him with a look of exhausted familiarity. He saw Niles, dead, lying on the deck, helmet shattered. And he saw the Codex, glowing brighter than it ever had, pulsing like a living heart, whispering something he couldn't understand. Theo's knees buckled, and he dropped to the floor with a sharp grunt, rifle clattering away. Ava was on him in an instant, hand on his shoulder. Theo, talk to me. What just happened? He blinked rapidly, head shaking, breath coming fast. I don't know. I saw something, us, here, but older. And Niles. You were. He stopped himself, glancing at Niles. Never mind. You were fine. Totally fine. Niles arched an eyebrow. Wow, worst lie ever. You saw me dead, didn't you? Theo groaned, rubbing his temple. Look, can we table the dead or not dead? Conversation until after I stop feeling like someone just uploaded a bad sci-fi movie straight into my brain? Ava frowned and looked at Rourke. He's syncing with it again, like back in the Codex chamber. Rourke nodded slowly, then turned to Theo. You think this is the Codex? Theo gave a weak laugh. What? You think I just passed out because I'm unfit? No, this was it. It's showing me things? Past? Future? I don't know. Maybe both. The construct finally moved again, but not toward anyone else. It knelt, its head lowering to be level with Theo's. And then, in that same distorted mimicry of his voice, it said, break the rules and you die again. The silence that followed was heavy enough to feel physical. Ava's hand froze mid-her. Niles lowered his scanner, and Rourke's eyes hardened. Again? He said under his breath. Theo gave a humorless laugh. Yeah, so apparently, I've got a bad habit of dying on the job. Good to know I'm consistent. Ava shot him a look that was equal parts concern and frustration. That's not funny. Theo shrugged weakly. I wasn't trying to be funny. That's just my coping mechanism kicking in while a creepy robot uses my voice to tell me I'm dead on repeat. The construct stood, pivoting with perfect fluidity, and walked toward the back of the chamber. A sealed hatch irised open as it approached, like the ship itself was obeying it. It paused in the doorway, head turning slightly, before speaking one last time. One path, one voice, one life. Theo slowly pushed himself up with Ava's help. I'm starting to hate how catchy that sounds, he muttered. Niles gave him a sharp look. Catchy? Theo, it basically just threatened to kill us. Again. Theo waved a hand weakly. Yeah, but if it's using my voice, that means I'm threatening us. Technically. Which, weirdly flattering. Rourke stepped forward, weapon up, eyes on the hatch. Whatever's behind that door, the ship wants us to see it, and I'm done reacting. We go on our terms, not the Codex's. Theo gave a weak chuckle. Sure, because declaring dominance always works great when your opponent is a reality-bending alien artifact. Ava helped him steady his footing. Can you walk? He nodded, though his face was pale. Yeah, I can walk. Probably even. Crack a few more jokes before we all die horribly. That's still in the rules, right? They moved toward the open hatch, the constructs behind them unmoving again, as if they had never awakened. Theo risked one last glance back and froze. One of the constructs, the one wearing battered armor identical to Rourke's, had shifted slightly. Its hand was resting on the hilt of a sheathed blade, and though it didn't move further, Theo could feel its eyes, even through the helmet locked on him. As he turned back, a whisper brushed across his mind. Alien and wrong, but clear enough to understand. You are part of us now. The corridor beyond the hatch was different from anything they had seen so far. The walls curved with almost organic smoothness, every surface seamless as though grown rather than built. Faint pulses of light flowed along the walls like veins under skin, converging toward a wide chamber ahead. The air felt warmer here, humid in a way that made Ava glance at her suit readings twice. Theo ran one hand along the surface as they walked, his helmet light glinting off the black sheen. This is either the best interior mood lighting I've ever seen or a subtle way of saying we're trespassing. I'm voting trespassing. Niles gave him a look. You always talk this much when something wants to kill you? Theo shrugged, grinning faintly. Nervous habit. I could stop if you want, but then the silence gets weird. And we all know how horror movies end when people go quiet. Ava muttered, Remind me why we brought you. Theo shot her a mock-offended glance. Because I'm charming and occasionally useful, and clearly the Codex loves me more than you. Ava rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath. Debatable. Rourke raised a hand, signaling them to stop as the chamber came into view. It was massive, far taller and wider than any space they had encountered on the black ship. In the center rose a column of black material, twisting faintly like it was liquid frozen mid-motion. It stretched from floor to ceiling, pulsing faintly with light that matched Theo's own heartbeat, something he only noticed when Ava quietly said, Theo, that thing is sensed with you. He froze, an involuntary shiver running up his spine. Yeah, I was kind of hoping I imagined that part. Thanks for confirming my nightmare. Then the voice came, not in sound but thought, resonating through their skulls and chest plates, layered and alien, yet impossibly clear. One voice leads, the rest follow, or the path ends here. Ava flinched, glancing at the others. You all heard. That right? Niles nodded sharply. Oh yeah, heard it, hated it, would love to leave now. Theo exhaled, forcing humor into his voice, though it trembled slightly. "Great news, everybody. Apparently, I'm supposed to be in charge now. Nothing could possibly go wrong with that plan." Rourke studied him, face set. "What does it mean? One voice leads? You?" Theo tilted his head, mock thoughtful. "Unless one of you woke up with alien Wi-Fi access. I'm guessing yes." Ava stepped closer, her eyes tight with worry. "Theo, you don't have to do this alone." Theo smirked faintly. "Oh, sweet of you. But the giant alien supercomputer just gave me a promotion. Pretty sure it'd be rude to decline." The Codex pulsed brighter, the voice repeating louder. One voice, or none. Move forward. Rourke lowered his rifle slightly, visibly weighing the options. Finally, he gave a sharp nod. "Fine. For now, we follow your lead. But if something feels wrong, we pull you back immediately." Theo raised a hand in mock salute. "Yes, sir. I promise not to abuse my newfound status as alien spokesperson. Unless it gets me out of kitchen duty back on the ship." The chamber vibrated faintly as Theo stepped closer to the column. The constructs they had left behind in the previous chamber moved into the doorway, their once lifeless forms now poised like soldiers awaiting orders. One of them, the one wearing battered armor identical to Rourke's, rested its hand on the hilt of its blade, head turning slightly toward Theo. Ava whispered, "It's watching you." Theo gave a dry chuckle. "Yeah, no kidding. I'm one inspirational speech away from having my own cult." Niles muttered, "That is not reassuring." Theo reached out, touching the column surface. It was warm, smooth, and oddly soft, like touching flesh instead of metal. A sudden surge of energy shot through him, and his vision blurred. For a moment, he saw himself from above, as if the Codex was pulling him out of his own body. He saw the crew behind him, the constructs kneeling, and then flashes images of himself standing in another chamber, issuing commands to the constructs, his voice alien and commanding. He staggered but didn't collapse, gripping the column for balance. When he spoke, his voice carried an unnatural undertone, layered like the Codex itself was speaking with him. "Stand down." The constructs froze, then slowly stepped back and knelt, their heads lowering as one. The chamber pulsed brighter, like the Codex was approving. Ava took a small step back, her eyes wide. "Theo, you just commanded them." Niles whispered, "Okay, that's officially creepy. Are we even sure you're still Theo?" Theo straightened, swaying slightly, but grinning faintly. "Still me, mostly. And hey, look, I got promoted again. Probably comes with dental." Ava gave him a sharp look. "This isn't a joke." Theo gave a tired shrug. "Everything's a joke if you're scared enough." The Codex spoke again, heavier this time, vibrating through the chamber floor. "One voice leads. Choose your path, or be unmade for." Corridors opened around them, glowing faintly. Rourke scanned them, jaw tightening. "It's giving us a choice. Theo, what do you see?" Theo shook his head slowly. I don't know yet. I think I'm supposed to just know." Which feels like a bad idea, by the way. Ava stepped up, resting a hand on his arm. "Theo, are you sure you can handle this?" He forced a smile, eyes still on the glowing paths. "Oh yeah, totally. Just casually choosing between 4 mysterious alien death traps based on vibes. I'm great. Living the dream." Before Rourke could respond, the chamber lights cut out completely. A deep vibration rattled their suits as the Codex surged, filling their helmets with static. When the glow returned, Theo was gone. His rifle lay on the floor, still warm from his hands, and the Codex pulsed brighter than ever, its rhythm accelerating like a heartbeat under strain. Theo opened his eyes to darkness. For a few seconds, he thought he had gone blind, but then shapes emerged, soft outlines, glowing faint blue, stretching into infinity. The floor beneath him was glass-like, reflecting faint patterns that shifted. As he moved, his voice echoed unnaturally, like it was bouncing inside his skull. "Okay, not dead, probably, unless this is the world's worst afterlife," something responded, not with sound, but with presence, like a thought brushing across. His own. "Welcome," voice Theo froze, looking around. Thanks?" Also, is anyone else hearing creepy telepathic greetings? Or is it just me? The presence pulsed slightly, like amusement that wasn't human. "You are here because you are chosen," Theo groaned. "Yeah, look, I didn't apply for this job. I'm more of a follow orders kind of guy. I'm good at filing reports, fixing things, making people laugh in tense situations. Chosen one stuff? Hard pass." The space shimmered, and a shape formed. Ahead of him. It was humanoid but vague, like it couldn't decide what form to take, flickering through faces and builds until it settled on. Him. Another Theo stood there, taller, sharper, eyes glowing faintly. The duplicate smiled faintly. "We have done this before." Theo took an involuntary step back. "Yeah, see? Here's the thing, you and me. We don't know each other, and I'd like to keep it that way." He pointed accusingly. "Also, stop stealing my face. That's mine." The duplicate didn't move closer, but the space between them folded somehow, shrinking. "You lead, or I'll end." Theo rubbed his face, muttering, "Every single day I regret skipping those meditation classes." Then louder, "Look, you keep saying lead, but why me? I'm not the commander. I'm barely above the pay grade where you get your own locker. And whatever's going on here, it's way above my pay grade." The duplicate tilted its head. "Because you are not bound by them. You listen. You adapt. You laugh when you should fear." Theo blinked. "Wow, you've been spying on me enough to write a motivational poster." He shook his head. "Fine. You want me to lead? Tell me. Where? What's this all for? What's with the constructs? Why do you look like me?" The duplicate stepped closer, reaching out to touch his shoulder. "Because you already did." Images slammed into his head again, himself standing before an army of constructs. Ava at his side, older and hardened. Niles with streaks of gray in his hair. Rourke issuing orders like they'd done this all before. And Earth. Earth in flames, half its orbital stations dark, fleets burning in orbit. Then a bright shape rising beyond Jupiter, something impossibly huge, moving with intent. Theo staggered back, clutching his head. No, that's not real." "That's not," the duplicate interrupted, voice firmer now. "The path leads to survival or silence." One voice decides. Theo exhaled shakily, humor slipping into his voice out of habit. "You're really bad at pep talks, you know that? Usually people start with, 'Don't worry, you'll be fine,' not, 'Hey, here's an apocalypse slideshow.'" He forced a grin. "Okay, you want me to lead? I'll lead. But you better not expect me to wear a crown or give speeches, because that's not happening." The duplicate smiled faintly, then dissolved into light, flowing into the column behind. A doorway appeared ahead, bright and inviting in a way that felt deeply wrong. Theo muttered, "Yeah, sure, ominous glowing door. That's never gone badly for anyone." He stepped through and fell. When he hit the ground, it was metal again, cold and real. Ava was kneeling beside him, gripping his shoulder. "Theo, say something." He groaned, blinking up at her. "Yeah, I'm good. Just had a nice chat with myself. Very therapeutic." Niles' voice came from behind her. "You disappeared for 5 minutes and come back making jokes? I hate you a little right now." Theo sat up slowly, rubbing his head. "Yeah, well, add it to the list." Rourke crouched nearby, expression sharp. "What did it do to you?" Theo hesitated, glancing at them. It Showed me things. Future things. Earth under attack. U.S. older. Leading constructs. And it wants me in charge. He gave a nervous laugh. I think I just got conscripted by a sentient alien artifact. Ava frowned. Future things? Theo, are you sure they were real? Theo nodded slowly. Yeah, real. Enough to scare me. Before Rourke could respond, alarm screamed through their helmet combs, not from the black ship, but from their own vessel in orbit. Commander Hadrian's voice cut through, calm but edged. Ground team, something just entered the system. Large signature, unknown configuration. It's not broadcasting any friendly markers. Theo exchanged a look with Ava, then back to Rourke. Yeah, so about that apocalypse slideshow I just got? I think it's starting early. The Codex pulsed once, deep and resonant, and all four corridors behind them sealed shut. Only one remained open, leading deeper into the ship. The constructs stepped aside, kneeling as if awaiting orders. Theo stared at them, swallowing hard, then sighed. Well, guess I'm in charge now. He stood, brushing himself off and forcing a crooked smile. Good news is, I think I know where we're going. Bad news is, we might not like why. Rourke. Straightened, weapon ready. Then lead the way. Theo gave a single nod, stepping into the open path as the Codex hummed like a heartbeat, louder and faster, almost eager.